Thanks, Ram. Thanks a lot. And I think it's a good opportunity to, talk about well-being kind of thing because we normally keep thinking about it. And, as senior management member of our organization, it's always at the back of the mind, but we never talk about it. So good that, you brought it up, and I'm really delighted to talk about it and then discuss about how what I think about it, and probably how to take it forward from here. So it's a US based organization, and we are operating in India purely on sales and marketing perspective. So that's what it is, and good to talk about the subject.
Brilliant. Thanks. Can you just
So since the time you've spoken about this topic, and I wanted to share my thoughts. I have been thinking about this subject, and really it perplexes me that how vast the subject is. The more you think about it, the more different parameters comes into play. So in a very very simple language, if I have to explain it to a 6-year-old kid. Uh, it would be that what you want and what you get, if there is equilibrium in that, it basically turns to be considered as the person is in a well-being situation. Having said that, I think it's also important for a 6-year-old kid. It is good, but for a mature individual, uh, what is that I expect is also a kind of a question which uh, you know which probably everybody has to understand. What I expect from my life, what I expect from my society, depending on what I am capable of, or what I am deserving. If my expectation is beyond that, then definitely that is going to create a kind of a gap in whatever I get. So simply putting, I would say, when we talk about well-being, it is expectation versus the current situation of any individual when it comes to their personal life, their professional life. Uh, in terms of professional life or personal life, let's talk about that first. Maybe what kind of a family and friends the individual has. Is it uh, is he happy being in that family who respects him, who consider him as a family member? What kind of a friend circle the person is having? Do they respect him for whatever he is or whoever he is? uh, how the person is financially doing? If the person has, sometimes there is a gap in their own, in everybody's. So everybody wants to be a millionaire or a billionaire. uh, so if the expectation is that, and then the person is not able to reach even closer to 10% of it, there is kind of a frustration which can bring in not well-being kind of a status. So expectation is, I would say, is the key, and from the life, and how much an individual can achieve, is again an individual's capability, capacity, and satisfaction level. So there are multiple things that keep coming in from all perspectives. Professionally, if I talk about, I think what kind of a job the person is in. Is he satisfied with the organization he's working for, or is he happy with the profession that he has selected? What kind of a relationship the person is having with the colleagues and his boss and subordinates? So all these things comes into play. So I would say, in a nutshell, I think it is expectation from life versus what life has given you. If there is a balance, there is a understanding, then the person is in a well-being state. Otherwise, there is a if there's a disbalance, then definitely it takes you away from well-being, I would say.
it's interesting for you to say that. What I have taken is it's a gap that exists between perception versus reality. B, it's the kind it is your feeling of wanted and feeling of respected. But ultimately, if I am to pull a thread from all this, you're talking about an individual state of mind, which is basically, are you happy or not at the end of the day? If
Absolutely.
that is the case, as a society, I think we have always been, geared to work more, achieve more. Success has been equated to monetary, success alone, rather than a spiritual well-being and an emotional, success and so on and so forth. So it's an interesting take on that. And I think, given that we've all been in a state of lockdown, and given that we are at the moment sitting inside the house reflecting on what life has got to offer, suddenly it becomes a different conversation. And I see I can see what is happening as a result. Now, there are a lot of people approach well-being in a different way. I know your organization, you do things in a different way to someone else who does things in a different way. So, from a corporate point of view, what do you have a well-being strategy in place to start with, or is it basically it's your well-being strategy for your country, or how does it work? What is your do you advocate having a corporate strategy across the globe for an organization, and then letting individual countries to customize it, or do you have to have a strategy at all because it's about how people feel, isn't it? What is your take on that?
Uh, that's a very, very, interesting topic, because when I talk about that in our organization, there are mixed kind of responses that I get from management. Uh, when you talk to people like HR and things like that, they feel that yes, we should have this as a kind of a subject. When you talk about people from commercial bent of mind, for them it is numbers, numbers, numbers. So it's kind of a quite a kind of area where it needs a kind of attention from all angles, because end of the day we are talking about people, and the best output, I would say, I've seen that in my life, best output you can get from an individual is when the person is mentally not under stress or not under pressure. So from that perspective, I think from if I talk about my own organization or organizations I have worked for, uh, not every organization has this as a kind of strategy. I would say, putting in a simpler way. But I would say people or the managers who are in decisive positions have their own bent of mind, and probably take initiatives to ensure that their people are under the right frame of mindset, and so that they can deliver more. Uh, if I talk about my experience, I think uh, I'm a strong believer of uh, giving an atmosphere or an environment to the team members where they can perform at their best. Uh, being in a commercial organization, I think you will have sometime people who may misuse this kind of a, platform, and try to shy away from doing their basic responsibilities as well. But that's I mean, you have to ensure that how you balance this out, and then how you can give this kind of atmosphere.
So
So
it's,
what?
it's sorry, sorry, you're saying something. You
Uh,
say
so so yeah. Or maybe you can ask the question, and then I'll
no,
take
I
it
mean,
forward.
it brings up the interesting thing because a lot of people, from a commercial point of view, they are looking at creating numbers, and that's how we are all geared, right? A number equals success. A number moving in the right towards your right means progress. So I can see where they are coming from, and again, a business exists primarily to serve the needs of the customers, and of course, provide a livelihood. So numbers do matter. And of course, you can't just say that we are numbers driven, and you need to have your people on board to hit that numbers. Do you guys measure how well-being impacts performance? Because then you would be able to quantify how addressing that would then help achieve that numbers. Do you guys do that?
I would say not directly. Having said that, in all our reviews, uh, there are topics that cover little bit of well-being. For example, uh, We whenever there is a kind of a quarterly review with so every manager is supposed to talk to the subordinate on one-on-one basis and discuss few things. One is how the business is performing. Second is what are the challenges the individual is facing. So this has a bit of deep diving into the individual's challenges. It can be personal, it can be professional.
Okay.
Now, if it is professional, definitely we as superiors or bosses can help the individual overcome these challenges. Now, when it is personal or when it is something that he wants to talk to somebody about it, but he don't know whom to talk to. So recently we have hired an organization called Human Dynamics, and we pay an annual subscription for all our employees, and they are in a way in this field, and they have psychologists on board, and they provide platform where individuals, not only the employees, but any family member of the employees. So if my wife has a problem with me, she don't know whom to talk to. She can always dial this number and talk to the psychologists there. My daughter has some challenges in the school. She doesn't know whom to talk to. So if she doesn't want to share it with us, she can always talk to them and uh, take some help. So this is what we have given to families as well. Even the individuals can talk to these guys. Even if they have professional challenges, they have a problem with the boss, but they don't want to talk to the boss about it. So they can take this professional help. So this is
Interesting.
a piece that we have added for last couple of years in our organization, so that we take care of these things. So where all it started was that I happen to be a member of one of some of these clubs where well-being is talked about and all those things. So one of my close friend was doing a workshop on mindfulness in Mumbai. So I took my entire management team and we attended that program for 3 days, where there were international speakers who would speak about the status of mind when we talk about peaceful thinking, and then how it is relating to the productivity and all those things. Then there were monks from monasteries who were called to talk about their perspective of it. There are organizations like Microsoft or Google who have on board one of the stream of HR where they talk about mindfulness and yoga practices as one of the components which is mandatory for them to run in the organization, so that they can take care of individuals mindset. So
Interesting.
that's how we brought that piece in, and today at least uh, I am happy that some we keep getting the numbers, that number of people have called them and took advice. It's confidential, so we don't know what exactly was that, but if there is something alarming, for example, if there is some kind of tendency shown by an individual that the person can get into a suicidal mode, then they immediately inform us and we can take remedial actions. But till the time it is in a controlled atmosphere, they keep it to themselves and then they advise the individual accordingly. So this is what we are doing for our organization, within our organization, uh, and trying to see that people are in a kind of a in a kind of an atmosphere where they should feel safe, they should feel happy working here, and they should have a kind of a window where they can talk about if they don't feel comfortable.
Interesting. Now, I just want to go back to something that you said earlier, that the tension. I wouldn't say tension. It's basically the approach by HR and commercial people. So that's primarily because of measurement or the lack of it, right? So, do you think, as an MD, do you think it is wrong to actually have expect a return on investment on employees' well-being, both from a corporate as well as an individual perspective? Because you want, as you rightly said earlier, with the right frame of mind, you get people to deliver better. So, what's your take on that?
See, whether we measure or not, it is directly proportional to the results are directly proportional to individuals' well-being. If we can measure it, I think it will give a kind of a quantitative tool for us to improve it. Something that gets measured gets improved is a very simple, way of looking at it. So even if we don't measure it, we keep doing efforts towards it, we'll see some results. But if we can somehow measure it and try to, put our efforts towards, improving it, and then uh, improving this particular score, automatically this score will take care of itself. So,
Okay.
so definitely, it's a good idea of measuring it.
The reason I ask is primarily because when people who are driven by numbers might mentally check out, they might just do just about enough to, keep things moving rather than really immerse themselves. Because I've seen some big organizations where they have actually said, yeah, we have to measure, we have to do it. But then the commercial guys and guys who are driven by numbers, sales guys, they are notorious. I mean, I know you are a salesperson and you know that when it comes to numbers, they are focused. When it comes to things which are not driven through numbers, they just try to palm it off or try to take the foot off the accelerator. So as a result, they don't model the behavior that they should be demonstrating to ensure that their team practice it. So that's why I asked that question. Do you actually see that people across the organization, do they actually genuinely model the behavior that they want the team members to follow? Or what do you think is the, there's 1% improvement or something that you could do to actually make them realize that, yeah, that can be done? What is your take on it? Do you see that, and what's your take on it?
Definitely, we see that in and out. And my, journal comment on this is that responsibilities drive behaviors. And if an organization is always about number, if I, as a sales manager, will talk to my team only on numbers, their behavior will be only towards numbers. If I try to talk about numbers, but what are the reasons behind those numbers, and I talk to them about what can be done to improve those numbers, or what are their opinions about that. If I talk to them in that perspective, I think it will give me a better result. This is what I have always been doing, and probably that's what helped me almost like tripling the numbers for my organization in 3 years or 4 years almost. So I would say definitely it helps. And my take has always been that uh, if all the managers stop behaving like managers and start taking a leadership role, which is much beyond their current role in which they are in, I think automatically that behavior turns the team on towards taking up a bigger responsibility or looking at a wholesome picture rather than just talking about numbers.
Okay, I mean that's a neat way to summarize. I've managers push people, leaders pull people. So you want your team to pull people rather than push people. So
Absolutely.
one last question: what do you think is missing from a corporate well-being performance or well-being initiatives these days across organizations? I'm sure you come across various organizations in your sphere. What do you think if you had the power to change one or two things? What do you think you would do to actually make well-being something as a mainstream activity?
A few things that we can always do. One is change the overall way people are uh, evaluated. So instead of just evaluating on the performance, we can have some tool that can evaluate them uh, on this perspective as well, and that how what influenced their performance in a particular year is something that also should be measured. So if that can be done, I think that will bring some kind of a dynamics to play around. We sometimes even evaluate behaviors, but we don't evaluate the reasons behind those behaviors. So think if some kind of a tools, if can be given to the managers in the organization, so that they can map it out and try to understand what was the mental state of an individual which caused the behavior, and this is the result. So if we can tie up all these things together on a kind of a tool, that will really help. If I talk about myself as a leader of the organization, if I can see the entire picture, I would be in a much better decision making situation than today.
Okay. Okay, that was very interesting. Thanks a lot, Brijen, for your time. And I really, really enjoyed the conversation. Hope you found it useful too. Thank
Absolutely,
you.
same here, same here. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.